Hello and welcome to a very special episode of The Buck Stops Here. I'm Vishnu Shom and I'm on board the US supercarrier, the Nimitz, several hundred kilometers off the coast of Chennai. These exercises, Malabar, are being described as the biggest and the largest naval war games ever involving the United States, Japan and India. What exactly are these exercises all about? Is China a factor for all three navies? And do they really talk about it? Well, India certainly has a set of concerns. The growing, expanding reach of the Chinese Navy. The United States and Japan are very closely monitoring the development of the Chinese in the South China Seas and in the West Pacific. Together, all of these three countries have come together to participate in these very high-level naval exercises, looking very much to the future. The defining image of Malabar 2017, right in front of the US carrier Nimitz, is the Indian Navy's aircraft carrier Vikramaditya, behind which is the Japanese helicopter carrier, the Izumo. It's the first time ever that the US, India and Japan have deployed their most sophisticated platforms, the combined firepower of which has never before been showcased in the Indian Ocean. These new MiG-29s of the Indian Navy have exercised with the US Navy's top gun, the FA-18 Hornet, for the very first time this year, a sign of how close both countries are today.
We had a great opportunity yesterday to share, not only get close as far as the body of water is concerned, but the MiG-29s that were flying off of Vikramaditya and the FA-18 Super Hornets flying off of Nimitz made approaches to each of the opposite flight decks, and they actually got up in the air and got to do some dogfighting as well.
Though no one wants to say it aloud here, the goal of all three navies in working together is to keep an alliance handy to counter China's massive navy expansion. In the last few years, the Chinese have put dozens of new, increasingly sophisticated warships to sea. In fact, just last month, there were as many as 13 Chinese Navy vessels and one submarine which sailed through the Indian Ocean.
What started as a basic maneuvering exercise has now graduated to a very complex exercise this year, involving 16 ships, 2 submarines and almost 90 plus aircraft. And it includes all dimensions of operations at sea, which gives us a great deal of confidence that if there was a requirement to tackle a common challenge, the three navies would be up to it.
At 100,000 tons, though, the Nimitz is clearly the centerpiece of this combined flotilla. There are 3,200 men and women who serve on board the ship. The air wing brings an additional 2,000 crew members. An FA-18 Hornet fighter can be launched once every 30 seconds. Being on an aircraft carrier is all about navigating staircases.
Yes.
Lots and lots of them.
Yeah.
So we are navigating what? About 10?
Yep, so we're
from the hangar all the way up?
Yep, so the hangar is level 1.
Yeah.
And when you go up, it starts at 01, 02,
Yeah.
all the way up to 010.
Right.
And then it goes down, I think, to either 9 or 10.
Right.
So. Yeah, the first couple of weeks, all you know how to do is go from where you sleep to where you work to where you eat.
Right.
And hopefully a bathroom.
Powered by nuclear reactors, the Nimitz can sail at 40 knots, that's about 74 kilometers per hour. Think about it, a 100,000-ton warship with nearly 100 aircraft on board, sailing at 74 kilometers an hour. Well, I'm going to be walking now to the bridge of the USS Nimitz. Let's take a look at what all there is over here. And there is clearly a lot, as you can see behind me, a lot of officers and crew maintaining this particular station, actually in charge of the movement of this gigantic warship. Lots of personnel over here coordinating what is a very, very complex set of maneuvers because of the presence of so many other warships in these waters. For the moment, Malabar 2017 is drawing to a close. But given the complexity of these exercises and a shared concern between India, Japan and the US on freedom of navigation in international waters, something contested by China in the South China Sea, the close partnership seems set to continue. On board the US carrier Nimitz, with camera person Sukumar, Vishnu Shom for NDTV. The Malabar exercises have grown in complexity over the last many years, and today the United States, India and Japan find ourselves involved in very high-level exercises. Joining us now to tell us a little bit more about what these exercises mean to the Indian Navy, Admiral Dasgupta. Thanks very much, sir, for speaking to us. How have these exercises progressed from what they were to what they are now in terms of difficulty, in terms of the operations that you try and do?
You're aware, Vishnu, that the India-US naval cooperation dates back 25 years. And this is the 21st edition of Malabar. We had a brief break between 98 and 2001. Throughout these years, what started as a basic maneuvering exercise has now graduated to a very complex exercise. This year, involving 16 ships, 2 submarines and almost 90 plus aircraft. And it includes all dimensions of operations at sea, which gives us a great deal of confidence that if there was a requirement to tackle a common challenge, the 3 navies would be up to it and we would be very comfortable working with each other.
Admiral, we've seen the MiG-29s of Vikramaditya exercising with F-18s. How did that go?
It went off very well. This is the first time that the Vikramaditya has participated in the Malabar exercise. So far, Vikramaditya was continuing to consolidate her air wing and gain more proficiency in flying. Well, they have achieved a great deal, and now yesterday they did exercise with the Hornets from USS Nimitz, and the exercise went off well. I think in the subsequent editions of the exercises, perhaps the complexity of air operations will also increase.
All right, Admiral, thank you so much for speaking to us. Thank you. The Malabar exercises are among the most important exercises that India has with any nation in the world. For several years, the United States has been a key ally, along with Japan, in the last couple of years. Joining me now is the officer who commands the USS Nimitz fleet as it takes part in these operations. Admiral, thank you so much for speaking with us. India and the US, we've been close partners now for a while. How have things evolved over the last few years? Where do things stand now?
Well, they stand in a very good place. So Malabar itself has been taking place for 25 years. We started in 1992, and every year we continue to bring more capability and better systems, and we share those with our Indian partners. They do the same for us, and we're increasing the interoperability, the cooperation, and we do that in order to make it easier should we come to the region in a crisis and have to do this for real.
And what sort of crisis do you envision? And the reason I ask that is there's an expansionist China. They have a huge presence in the South China Seas, obviously. Both India and the United States believe in free movement in international waters. We see the Chinese deploy several warships, nuclear submarines in the Indian Ocean. Is that a concern that you share, obviously, with the Indian Navy?
Well, I don't predict any crisis. It's freedom of navigation certainly is key to regional stability, maritime security, and allowing each and every peace-loving nation to pursue prosperity. So our presence here is an indicator of that, is to demonstrate that we are here together, practicing together, keeping those sea lines of communication open.
Do you see India, Japan, and the United States as naval partners in terms of a naval alliance? Would the words naval alliance be accurate?
Well, I'm going to leave the definition of alliance, partner, friends to policymakers. What I'm here to demonstrate is that we are 3 maritime nations operating together as 3 navies and getting better and better together.
So a large part of the exercises you've done so much in these exercises, different things, but training with MiG-29s, how was that?
Yeah, that was just awesome. So
an aircraft that was an adversary to the United States still is in some parts of the world, but that's obviously changed now.
Well, I will admit to you that it was a bit shocking to see the MiG-29s approaching the deck of USS Nimitz yesterday.
Yeah.
They did not land, but they did make low passes, and which of course was scheduled. But our Super Hornets and the MiG-29s went up and mixed it up a little bit.
And how did that go?
It went wonderfully. We planned it, of course. It was a little scripted, so that it was safe. But it was great for our pilots to see the MiGs. It was great for the MiG pilots to see our Super Hornets.
Yeah. Tell us about the Japanese component over here. They've got a helicopter carrier. They call it a destroyer, of course.
Yeah.
But the fact that you have 3 aircraft carriers participating in these exercises in the Bay of Bengal, in the Indian Ocean, that's incredibly significant, isn't it?
Well, the significance is that we are all demonstrating our firm commitment to the Indo-Asia-Pacific region. So we, the Nimitz Carrier Strike Group, came across the Pacific through the Philippine archipelago into the Indian Ocean, and our Japanese friends followed us in order to come here to show our commitment to the Indian Ocean region.
Just a few more questions. Tell us a little bit about how easy or how difficult it is to work with the Indian Navy. You worked together so closely in the past. How have things changed? How have they improved or not?
Well, it gets easier every year, and that's why we continue to do this, and that's why we've been doing it for 25 years. There's so much in common between the nations. We're both maritime nations. There's so much in common between the navies as well. We actually have common equipment. We both fly the P-8s, for instance. So common equipment, common language, and common tactics, techniques, and procedures make us a better team at sea.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the P-8, the fact that we have shared technology over there. How does that potentially work even better than it has in the past in the US Navy and the Indian Navy working together in anti-submarine operations?
Yeah, sure. When we use common equipment and we use common tactics, we're better together. And what we're really after is shared awareness. And we call it maritime domain awareness. We need to know who's who out there, whether that's on the surface or beneath the surface. And so the more we can practice together and share that awareness, the better we'll be.
One final question. Under the water, submarine warfare, you've got a nuclear-powered submarine over here. The Indian Navy has deployed a Kilo-class submarine. That's a submarine the US has really wanted to exercise with for a while. I know you did it in the last Malabar as well. How is that shaping up? Training against a Kilo-class submarine back in the Cold War era, that's something you would have really wanted to do much earlier.
Well, sure. So we're flying against MiGs. We're searching and tracking Kilo submarines, which makes us better. And likewise, it makes the Indian Navy better to practice against our capabilities as well.
So you did track them?
We did.
And did they track you as well?
We did. The planning phases set up scenarios where we knew where they're going to be so that we could practice the systems and practice stretch the people as well.
Admiral, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much indeed.
Yeah.